Namaste everyone, hi, happy Monday. So from me, Louie, and my cats, we hope that you're having a great day wherever you are. So today we're going to be learning about properties of materials. So if we think of materials, all the stuff that we see around us, we can call those materials or matter. What are some properties, some things that we can say about these materials, this matter? So for example, if we look around the room, what have we got?
Coal.
What's that?
Coal.
Coal,
Clay.
yeah. What's some things that we can say about coal?
It goes in the ground.
What's that?
It goes in the ground.
What is it used as in the fire? Fuel. It's a fuel. Yep. So it releases energy when you burn it. That's a property. It oxidizes. Oxidizes means it reacts with the air, so you can burn it. If something is oxidizable, you can burn it. Anything else? Let's look at this. Versus this. We've got some.
Oh, it's weaker than stone.
We've got some what?
Water.
What is water? What's the category? This is solid.
Out fire.
This is solid, and this is liquid. And what have we got filling the entire room, but you can't see it? Gas. So another thing we can say is what is its state of matter? Is it solid at room temperature, at this temperature? Is it solid? Is it liquid? Or is it a gas? Because have you ever thought about why some things are solid, whereas some things are liquid and other things are gases?
Because the air, you can't really use it to build anything.
So, yes, but that's something that we can say about a gas. But one of the things that we can say is that things are solid when they're atoms. There's tiny, tiny particles called atoms which make up everything that you can see in the world. And when they're super close together, so that no light can go through it, and you can't go through it, and it's sticking in the same place, we say that it's a solid. When they're slightly further apart, when the atoms are slightly further apart, and it can move around and take the shape of whatever container you put it in, we say it's a liquid. When it's moving really, really far apart, so far apart that you can't even see it, then we call it a gas. So another property is whether or not something is solid, liquid, or gas. So let's talk about solids. What do solids look like or feel like?
They feel hard.
They feel very hard.
They can be soft.
And strong, and the atoms are super, super close together. We can say that they don't take the shape of a container. They're just in whatever shape they're cut to. All right? Anything else? What about their weight?
Probably it's heavier.
They tend to be more heavy, more dense. Okay, so let's see if we can pretend that we are solids. Let's curl up in a ball, squat down and curl up in a ball and be super, super dense. Dense means it's a bit like heavy. All of the particles are really, really close together, so no light can get through it and it can't move around. So be as dense as possible. Okay? And we're going to roll backwards and forwards along our spine like a ball. Let's try and stay as close together, tucked up as much as possible. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Bring your feet down, palms down, and jump your legs back. You can either come onto all fours or hold a nice strong plank, like a bridge. So, what's good about solid materials? What can we use them for? We're showing one of them right now.
They can be used for walking across.
For building things, right? Because we can make solid, strong structures out of solids. So nice and strong. Hold for as long as possible, nice and strong. You can either be on all fours or you can be holding a plank. Nice and strong. Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring your knees down. Come onto all fours and press back into child's pose. Okay, let's think of some other types of solids. So what solids would we use for building?
We would use any.
Yep, we can use wood. We can use concrete. You said clay. Yep, anything. That is
Limestone.
nice and hard when it dries. Good. Now, what other types of solids that can be useful? We're forgetting about a lot. Let's think about the ones that we find in the wires around our home.
Oh, plastic.
What's that?
Plastic.
Inside the wires. Do you know what wires are made from?
Metal.
Metal. High five. Great. So, metals, most metals are solid at room temperature, except for mercury. Have you heard of mercury? Okay, if you've ever had your temperature taken with a thermometer, they're filled with mercury. So mercury is liquid at room temperature. But most metals are solid. What else are metals? If we think about some properties of metals.
They can be a liquid.
What's that?
They can be a liquid because of gallium.
So look at this one here. This one's a metal. It's got metal on the outside. Look at what's happening when the light hits it.
Oh, that's light.
Yeah, it's nice and shiny. Anything else? What would it have to be if we use it in wires?
It have to be thin and able to conduct electricity.
Yes, it's smart. All right. So wires, metals are often very, very good conductors of electricity because, yeah, you're so smart. He's telling you all the stuff that I was going to teach you. Super smart. So actually, the most common metal that we use to conduct electricity in wires is copper. So let's think why copper is a good, let's say, material to use for wires. Well, first off, let's make the shape of a wire. What's the shape of a wire?
Straight.
Straight, long and thin. Make yourselves as long as thin as possible. Okay? Squeeze.
It's not too hard.
It's not too hard.
Because it has to bend if it is.
We have to bend it, so let's bend to the right. Let's be bendy wires. When we say something can be bendy, or you can shape it, we call it ductile. Ductile means you can draw it out into long, thin wires. Okay, so ductile. Anything else? It has to conduct. What does it conduct?
Electricity.
Electricity. Now, do you know why it conducts electricity?
Because it's not too hard and because it can cause friction.
Right, so let's stand up. So bend your knees and stand up, okay? Make a nice long thin wire. I'm going to talk about how copper conducts electricity. So bring your hands down. Inside copper metal, inside all of metals, are something called electrons. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, so inside all of the atoms, they've got 3 types of particles. Now, this will super impress your teachers if you remember these words when you go back to school. Inside every atom, there are 3 particles. Protons, which are positive. Neutrons, which are neutral, 0 charge. And electrons, which are negatively charged. Now, electrons sort of float around the outside of the atom. Okay, so if my hands are my electrons, we can bring the electrons around the atom, sway, they can move around and they're free to move. And when they move, they carry electricity. So if there's a circuit, the electrons can move through the wires. There's a continuous loop. Then the electrons can move through the wires. Let's bend down and the electrons moving down to the ground and all the way up. Down to the ground and all the way up and the other way. Electrons are moving around and around the atom. If you make a circuit, they go through the wires.
Even if
Bring it all the way up, reach up.
Even if the Earth wasn't a planet, there would still be atoms.
Correct. Atoms make up everything that you can see, apart from in space where there are no atoms, where there's no stuff. So when you have a circuit, you need a complete loop. So I'm going to hold Louis' hands. We're going to make a circuit. Maybe we'll get a static shock. Okay. And now the electrons can pass from one wire to the other around in a circle. They're going to go from me to Louis and then down into the ground and then back. Now, our metals are very good conductors of electricity because they've got lots and lots of free electrons. So, Louis, you're going to pull back. Wow, you're super strong. And we're going to make a nice circuit like that. what happens if the circuit breaks? If the circuit breaks, the electrons can't go around anymore and the electric current stops. So electricity is made up of moving electrons. So this is another property. Metals are good conductors of electricity because they've got lots of free moving electrons in them. Same thing, if your mummy is cooking, or your daddy is cooking, or your carer is cooking your meal for you, and they leave a metal spoon in the pan, are you going to go and touch the metal spoon?
No.
What will happen if you touch the metal spoon?
Static.
What's that?
Static. Electric shock.
Well, is it going to be cold?
Hot.
It'll be hot, right? Metals are very good because they're good conductors of heat, of electricity. They're also good conductors of heat for the same reason, because the electrons can carry the heat around too.
Because you also need friction for electricity.
Yep. We're now going to create lots and lots of heat. So when the electrons are moving around super fast, we're going to create lots and lots of heat. So we're going to run on the spot, Get super hot. super hot. Super hot electrons. Okay, keep going. Fast as you can. Are you warm yet?
No.
Let's feel.
No.
Not warm enough. Keep running. running. We've got lots and lots of energy now, so we can start conducting heat through. So 3, 2, 1, we're going to do some rolls. You're going to roll and be good conductors of heat. Do you know how to do it? Make sure you've got some space. Lou's going to go first. 3, 2, 1, nice roll. The electrons have got so much energy now, they're moving around super fast. And you can roll, keep rolling. Do somersault, forward. Let's see if you can get backwards as well. Can you do it? Keep rolling until you lose all of the heat. Have you lost all the heat yet? Sit down. I'm going to cool down now. There's one more property. We've talked about how metals can be good conductors of electricity. We've talked about how they can be drawn out into wires, ductile. We've talked about how they can conduct heat and that they're shiny. Do you know why they're shiny?
Because they're metal and sun flux.
Yep, so the light is bounced off when it hits the shiny, smooth surface of the electrons because of how all of the atoms are arranged nice and orderly in the metal. So, final thing is we need metals sometimes to be malleable. Malleable means you can shape it. So let's think about why. What type of things when you eat do you use that have to have a very good shape?
Spoons, forks.
Yep. So we often use stainless steel and aluminium metals when we make spoons and forks and knives so that we can shape them to be exactly the shape that we want so that we can use them. So we're going to shape and bend this piece of metal right here. Sit up nice and tall, reach your hands up, and we're going to bend forward, and see if you can touch your toes. Okay. See if you can touch your toes, walk your hand forward, and see how malleable you can be, how shapeable and flexible you can be. Very, very good. Let's think of another flexible solid. Do you know what this is made of?
Rubber.
Rubber. Rubber is very flexible and it's solid, so not just metals. We've got
Plastic.
rubber. Is rubber a good conductor of electricity though?
Sometimes.
No, it's not a conductor, it's an insulator. It has no free electrons. So it's an insulator. But that can be super useful because insulators, if they don't conduct electricity or heat, we can use them to keep us warm because then the heat can't be lost. Anything that's you don't want to cover yourself up with a blanket of, let's say, a good conductor of heat because then all of the heat will be lost. Yes? So we can use insulators like rubber, like the cottons and things like that make up your duvet to keep you nice and warm, because they don't conduct the heat. They don't lose the heat through them. So that's another very, very useful things. We can make use of insulators just as much as we can make use of conductors. Now let's sit up nice and tall and be super, super bendy. The other one I was thinking of was plastic. Okay? So plastic is nice and bendy and shapeable and flexible and malleable, just like metal. So why don't we make plastic bags out of metal? Why do we use plastic?
Because metal, because it could.
Lift your hands, bring your hands down. Let's shape the other way, look.
And it's
We're
not
going to be super, super flexible. Bring your hips down and fold forward. Keep moving. Bring your hands back and lift up. So if you made a metal plastic bag, what would that be like to carry? And bend forward. Keep moving. Heavy. So sometimes we want flexible materials which are also very, very light. So plastic is much better at making plastic bags than metals, because it's more bendy and also very, very light. Anything else?
Plastic made out?
Lift your hips up. Let's think of, how do we get the metals? We have to mine them. We have to get them from the ground. Anything that you have to get from the ground is going to be super, super expensive. Plastics, we can make them in factories, so they're very, very cheap.
Cool.
So yes, this is another thing to take into account. If you've got metal plastic bags, they're going to be much more expensive than our 5p, 5 pence plastic bags. One more. Reach your hands. Let's see if we can walk even forwards. Let's see if we became more flexible then with all of that shaping.
Diamonds.
Walk your hands up. Yep. Diamonds will be very, very expensive plastic bags. Did you know diamonds got the highest melting point?
Yeah.
If it's got a high melting point, that means that it's got
can't conduct.
super, super strong bonds between all of the atoms.
So it can't conduct.
What's that?
Diamonds can't conduct.
I think it can conduct, yes, but not as good as copper, because copper is super cheap, super bendy, and a very, very good conductor.
But it would melt over time.
Yeah, you'd have to melt it up. So to make diamond into wires, it would take a lot of energy and heat and money. Okay, let's see. Have we become more flexible and malleable? Walk the hands forward. Are they getting closer to your toes? Curl your toes back and point them forward, and curl them back and point you forward. Okay, bend your knees, bring them in. Okay, on 3, 2, 1, stand up, bend this way, fold, forward bend. See if we can touch the toes. Let's see how flexible we can be. There you go, straighten your knees as much as possible. Make your back as flat as possible. All right, so every day, if you practice this, and bring your hands onto your legs, yeah, straighten your legs, bring your hands onto your legs. Now take some deep breaths, okay? Deep breaths. Every day if you practice this, you'll be getting more and more bendy and malleable every single day. All right, let's stand up back into Asana. Wow, we've talked about solids a lot. Now let's talk about some liquids, okay? So what is the most common liquid that we have in the earth?
Water.
Water, exactly. So let's think about properties of water. We said the molecules and the atoms in water are much further apart than they are in solids. So what's solid water called? Ice. Yeah, people would get that one. Solid water is ice, and the atoms are super, super close together. If you give them energy, they're going to start moving around faster and faster. Remember that we were doing the other day? Jumping up and down, getting more and more energy, so that they can start to move freely around. And now we're not in the same place anymore. So we can start to flow like water. Now we're going to do some very, very flowy, watery movements. So fold forward, bring your legs nice and straight for me. Now walk your hands forward, knees down, and take a deep breath in and look up. And deep breath out. Arch your back down. Now try to move as smoothly as possible. Imagine that you're water. Keep moving. So no jerky movements. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Now take a deep breath in. Curl your toes, press to downward dog. Knees down again, deep breath in. And look up one more time. Breathe out, curl the toes. You want to move as smoothly as possible. No jerky movements. Water is flowy. That's because all the molecules are sliding over each other. They're not getting stuck on anything.
Like in the last hour.
Exactly. Deep breath in and deep breath out. And back to downward dog. Knees down. Lift your right arm out and your left leg out. Nice and flowy. Float up and down. Left arm. Float up and down. Let's think of some useful liquids. We've thought about water. We need that for all of our chemical reactions in the body that happen in the water in our cells. So we need
Blood.
liquids, to flow, just like blood. Why do we need our blood to flow?
Else we just have one part of our body.
Yeah, we need the blood to flow around the body and take all of the things that we need around the body. So it works very good for transport, liquids do. Anything else? What about petrol? Well, petrol's a liquid. Keep moving, flowy and flowy.
It can be made under bedrock.
Bedrock, yeah. So petrol is a fuel. Okay, and so liquids can be used if we burn them. If we oxidize them, we can get energy out of them too. Okay, so lift your hips up, come into downward dog. Now lift the right leg up, flow, bend the knee, and bring your knee into your nose. Move as smoothly as possible. And we're going to be more energy liquids now. We're going to be high energy liquids. You're going to move faster and faster. Bring the knee in, kick it back, and bring the knee in. Kick it back, and bring the knee in. Nice and slowly. 5 more. 1. Remember, you've got to move super flowy, just like liquids. 2. 3.
So like a wave.
Exactly, like a wave of the ocean. 4. And 5. Bend the knee, make a wave. This looks like the top of a wave. And bring it down, left leg up. So, breathe in, breathe out, bring your nose to your knee, kick it back. What did we say liquids do? Do they stay in one place?
3.
3.
The atoms are further apart.
They're further apart, so they flow and they take the shape of the container. What do you think? Which one do you think is more dense? Water or a solid? 4.
Solid.
3 more. 1. Yep, solids are more dense. That means the atoms are close together. 2. Last one. And 1. Bring your knee up, bend the knee, make the top of a wave. Okay, so we've also talking about the sea here. Remember we were talking about water ecosystems. So the liquids are also super useful. They can be used for transport, right? Transporting blood around the body, bring your legs down, and come kneeling. So liquids can be used to transport things around, not just in your body, but we can use lakes and rivers. Boats go on the lakes and rivers, and in your days, that's how they moved things around. Anything else? We can burn them. We've learned that we can burn certain liquids to get energy, like petrol. Anything else can we think of? Does anyone know if water conducts electricity? Has anyone ever been outside in a storm near a swimming pool? I bet there are people here that live in hot countries with outdoor pools.
Well, it can't conduct normal electricity to turn on you all the time because the friction would probably be cooled down and because of the water.
Actually, water is a very, very good conductor of electricity. That's why if you're outside in a storm, you probably need to run for cover because you know how much percentage water we are.
80.
About 80 or more than 80% of your body, your cells, is water.
90.
Yep, 80 to 90%, we'll have to look up the exact number, is water. And water is actually a very good conductor of electricity. That means it must have a lot of free electrons, that can conduct it. Give me a high five. So, water is also a very good conductor of electricity, which means don't go swimming in the middle of a storm. Okay. Right, kneel up, reach up. Let's just flow a bit more like water. Be nice and flowy. Bend to the right, bend to the left. Be as flowy and smooth as you can. Remember, all your atoms are moving over each other. We can even do a Mexican wave. Have you ever done that? Palms down, reach up. Look. And down. Nice and flowy. Breathe in, reach up. And down. So far we've done solid and liquid. Which has been your favourite? Would you rather be solid or liquid? Because you can flow wherever you want to flow to.
The two elements.
Last one. Okay.
Water.
So we're now going to do gas. Alright. So the most, let's say, important gas that we need is not just air, but what's inside the air that we need. Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Yes. So you breathe in all the air, and then your blood takes the oxygen, uses it, remember, to burn the food and get energy, and then converts it to carbon dioxide, and then we breathe it out.
And helps it.
But plants have the opposite. Plants use the carbon dioxide, make the food, and then release the oxygen, which works out perfectly for us because this means that the plants are producing the oxygen and we're producing the carbon dioxide, and it goes round and round in a circle like that. Makes us perfect living buddies. So gases can be very, very important to survive. Oxygen in particular is super, super important to get energy. Even when we're heating up the house, we need gases to provide energy. What are some ways that we can describe gases? So just like liquids, they're not stuck in the same place, are they? They're the least dense. They're the lightest of all of the states that you
Because
can
they
have.
have no electrons.
They have electrons, but all of the atoms are super, super far apart. They're so far apart that you can put your hand through them. And
That's further than water.
yeah, and they're taking the shape of the container. Okay, but what about if you had a container, like a drinks can, and you fill it with lots and lots of gas, and then you seal it off? What will happen? If you shake it up, and then open the drinks can, because that's something that gases have called pressure. So if you compress them, if you put them into a small place, they don't like it. They like to be free. They like to be moving around. If you compress them up, so we're going to be compressed gases right now.
That's how a volcano forms.
Well, it's one of the ways, that you compress it, and more pressure, and more pressure. So you're going to start moving around really, really fast. We want to get out. Imagine that you are gas inside of a drinks can, and you've been shaking up. The pressure's super, super high. And then on 3, 2, 1, open and explode. So even though gases are super, super far apart and not very dense, they still got a lot of energy in them. They've actually got more energy than solids and liquids. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because they can escape, they can be free. So gases have got the most energy and solids have got the least energy. So we're going to heat up again. Imagine that we're liquid, and we're going to heat up the liquid until it evaporates, becomes a gas. Okay, so you're going to heat up. And then when you're ready, you can escape and you can fly around the room and go wherever you want. So 3, 2, 1, you can run around the room. You can go wherever you want. Gases is the most fun because they got the most energy and you can go wherever you want in the room. And come back. Okay, so let's talk about one more gas. We mentioned this on, I think it was the second day. It's a super, super important gas. It's hydrogen. Have you heard of hydrogen?
Hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, hydrogen peroxide is a chemical that is very, very dangerous, so don't ever mess with it. Hydrogen is actually the smallest atom. Okay, of all of the atoms that we've got on this earth, hydrogen is the smallest. But it's also very, very important because it's how we get any stars and planets. Hydrogen gas starts out when stars are born, and we've got hydrogen, and then the hydrogen sticks together. You can imagine hydrogen as like the first building block of everything. It's just one little proton, and then we stick them together like Lego, and then we get more and more elements, and then we can get a lot more dense elements, heavy elements, and then you've got a star is born, and then we can have planets and everything like that.
Oh yeah, because it started just with one big patch of land, but as the tectonic plates separated, it had water.
So you can imagine hydrogen as being like the building block for everything. Actually, one is in water, hydrogen, and one more element. Oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen are two gases, but when you put them together, they make water. Super interesting.
Two
Right.
gases turned into
We've learned a lot today. There's been a lot more learning than moving. Hope that you found this beneficial. So Lou, would you rather be a solid, liquid, or gas? Yeah, I think gas. I would like to be a gas because
we can be free.
then we can be floating.
And we could be as big as.
Before we go, let's just float. We can go wherever we're at gas. We can float wherever we want in the world. Where are we going to float to? Somewhere warm and not in lockdown.
Okay.
So I'm going to float to Bali right now. I'm going to float. You can float wherever you want if you're a gas. I think that's my favourite because gases are free. Yes, we're going to float all the way to Bali or wherever you want.
Float.
Somewhere not in lockdown.
I'm just going to float everywhere.
You're going to float everywhere?
So I can be free.
Yes, we can be free. So my favourite state is a gas. What's yours? All right, make sure you drink lots of water today because we've been talking about it. Remember, you need to keep your cells hydrated so they can do all their chemical reactions. Make sure you keep taking lots of deep breaths so you can get all those gases in that you need. Have a wonderful rest of the day from me and Louie. Hope that you've enjoyed today. We'll see you next time. Sending lots and lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You going to go stop the video? Louie's going to make his silly face again.